Okay, so I hope that you enjoyed this week's lesson. Okay, Naveen went through all the details around the money spot, and what is the money spot and why is he important. Okay, and we already look at this chart. This is the New Zealand CAD on the 60. Okay, we already look at this as a kind of a trending market, also a ranging market, and this smaller range here. And at the time we were looking at this smaller range, I mentioned that this was the money spot that Naveen was mentioning before. Okay. So right now you have more details around the money spot. So I want you to pause the video and think, where are the breaks of this chart? Where can you see the transitions in territories? Okay. And where is the areas where everyone is not understanding the bigger picture, okay? Because the money spot is the place where the buyer and the seller think they have control, okay? And they are just fighting. They are just waiting for those transactions to perform. And after that, you usually have the blast, okay? Because after that, one of the sides understands, okay, this is not my game anymore. Something else is coming in. Someone else is coming in, probably a bigger boy, and they just give up from that trade. Okay, so just pause the video and try to see those areas. Okay, so we can see that we went above, okay, this area. We faked out, we went above, we held, okay. At this area, we went above again. We hold, we went above, but it faked out and come back, okay. So we can see that we broke these lows. This area here, this was the low that we broke. And the guy who started is up there, all the way up there. And from this perspective, we can see that this guy is pushing the market down, and we can see the aggression of this sell. Okay, it held below and continued to held below. But at this point, this buyer is super aggressive coming back. Okay, and it actually broke, from this buyer's perspective, it broke this area and this area. Okay, so we could consider this area here as important, or even if we stay with the last one, it's also fine. Okay, so we broke above, and for this buyer, this is a buy. And for this seller, this is a sell. Okay, so we are trapped inside this area, and we already know something here. Like, this seller is being challenged quite hard by this buyer. And this buyer didn't let this seller go below, okay? Because this was a faker from all this perspective, okay? We were looking at this as a range mode. So from this area, you have this kind of range where you have the pullback challenging the guy who started, okay? Challenge the breach, just one shot across the breach to the other side. And now we are trapped inside this money spot. And what I want you to gauge in this area is, what are the clues inside for you to know that this money spot might go for a long or for a buy instead of a sell, okay? Because we are in seller's territory still. Just try to pause the video and think about these clues. Okay, so what will be the clues inside here? Okay, so the first clue that you should always compare is compare the pushes, okay? This was the push from the seller, okay? This push here from the seller, and this one is from the buyer, okay? We don't compare those two. What we need to check is, how is this seller performing now inside the money spot? And how is this buyer performing now inside the money spot? Who did change the behavior? Okay, because this seller here was super strong. What happened here? What happened here? What happened here? So where is the strength of this seller? Non-existent, right? Like, even if you are looking at this from this perspective, you can already see who is trying to win inside this area. Okay? Because the seller only showed up more or less with strength when it got this guy who started challenged. When we challenged this guy, then the sellers showed their face, but they couldn't really go further. They stayed exactly at the same lows. And the buyer is still holding the market, and holding, and holding, and the seller is nowhere to be seen. Okay? Nowhere to be seen. So we can already see, when we compare this seller to the other ones that follow, nowhere. Okay? This seller doesn't seem to be the same one as this one. But this buyer is super aggressive. Okay? Still aggressive, not so aggressive as this one, okay? But it still shows aggression. All the time it shows aggression. And at this area, it shows a lot of aggression. Okay? So inside the money spot, this is what we want to see. Okay? Who is winning? Who is the guy that is trying to push the market still? Okay? Because this guy doesn't seem to be here anymore. Okay? It's slowly, every time it shows up, it's slower than the last time. It doesn't show aggression. This buyers still show aggression, especially this last one. Okay? So I hope you like this one. Let's look at other examples for money spots.